Hi, I'm Rachel Mottet, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Minnesota.
I'm Marcia Hathaway. I'm a professor in the Department of Animal Science at the University of Minnesota. And today Rachel and I are going to talk about how you manage your horse that is obese, or a horse that's kind of an easy keeper and has a tendency to become obese, to avoid the health-related problems associated with that.
There are several key reasons that it's really important to keep our horse healthy. And by healthy, we want them in a comfortable body condition. Refer to the Extension's other body condition scoring video if you have questions about how to assess that. But we'd like for our horse to be in a healthy range. Some of the reasons this is really important would be joint and bone health. You're going to increase the risk of osteoarthritis by excessive weight bearing. Another thing to think about is the weight bearing and the surface that it's bared on. So each hoof is going to carry that horse, and so the more weight you have on those hooves, the more susceptible they are to things like laminitis or just undue stress due to that extra weight. A few other things we're going to think about: a horse that's obese or overweight is going to have compromised mechanism of thermoregulation. In addition, their body physiology can be thrown off in terms of hormone balance. Being overweight can also exacerbate existing conditions like chronic laminitis, potentially equine metabolic syndrome. These all play together. So these are some key reasons that managing our overweight or obese horse is important.
If we look at a graph of the impacts of body condition score on overall health and performance, we can see that at a very low body condition score, the horse's health is very poor or maybe just marginal, whereas a horse with a body condition score of 4 to a 6, kind of in the median range, is what we consider to be the optimal range for health and performance. However, when a horse accumulates excess weight as fat, or think of it as adipose tissue, performance and functionality are impaired without being tied to a specific clinical condition. And as the horse gets even fatter, puts on more weight, clinical indications such as insulin dysfunction, equine metabolic syndrome, and elevated concentrations of the stress hormone cortisol, among others, can be detected. If the weight gain goes unchecked, the horse is predisposed to develop a disorder or a disease condition. Because you want healthy bone and healthy muscle and not excess adipose, that's one of the reasons why exercise is so important for these animals. Exercise not only burns those calories, and in doing so helps decrease the amount of body fat that's accumulated, but enhances the health and capabilities of the muscle and bone. We know that if a horse is exercised carefully, mind you, within the constraints of what is safe for it to do, combined with a reduction in calories, that has a powerful beneficial effect on the horse's health, which can't always be achieved just by reduction of calories alone. It really needs to be a combination of exercise and reduction in calories. It's very important that the plan is a slow, steady increase in activity, and couple that with a decrease in calories until you can achieve for your horse the body weight that you consider the optimal goal. So when we tell you should cut out your horse's grain and treats if you're trying to get it to lose a little bit of weight or maybe not gain extra weight, that kind of can be a problem for some people. Feeding their horse is really kind of an emotional issue. Your horse comes out to greet you, nickers to you, you want to reward it, and what is it like more than anything? A little bit of grain, a little bit of sweet feed. But if you can see how much sweet feed this is, it's actually about 1.5 cups in this tub. It doesn't amount to just too very much. It doesn't look like you're giving your horse very much. This is about 8 ounces of a kind of a traditional sweet feed. If you gave your horse morning and night when you went out to do the chores this much sweet feed as a kind of a thank you, I love you, over the course of 6 months, your horse would put on about a body condition score if it's in excess of the calories that it needs to maintain its current weight. So while this looks like not much, and to your horse it doesn't seem like much, over time it can really add up. So if you do this month after month, year after year, you're going to end up with a horse that maybe looks a little bit like Sierra and a little bit extra weight. So if you want to greet your horse and say I love you in a different way, you might just want to give it a ration balancer. So this is an example of the same weight in terms of ration balancer in the pan. It's an alfalfa-based pellet. It contains a concentrated form of vitamins and minerals that your horse absolutely does require, and it's the equivalent of saying I love you. but it's providing something that they need. And this might be your alternative to providing the sweet feeds. So we've been talking about how you want to restrict your horse's grain intake. One of the ways that you might choose to do that is with a feed bag. We mentioned that. I brought an example. You can say this is something that just simply fits over her muzzle. It can be with the halter on or not. You put her ration balancer instead of grain in here, and that prevents her from eating somebody else's grain. Alternatively, you might put this on the skinny horse in the group and add extra grain to it, and then Sierra has to quit when she eats the ration balancer out of whatever bucket she has. So it works for both a thin horse and a fat horse, depending upon the mix you have in a group setting. But it works really well.
Something we don't always think about that can contribute a lot of calories to your horse's diet would be forage. And so with overweight or obese horses, we need to think about controlling forage intake. And there are several ways that you can do this. If you have no other option than to turn your horse out onto pasture, I'd strongly recommend a grazing muzzle, and at all times. What we found is that if you at times leave them out without the grazing muzzle, they will consume a lot more and sometimes even gorge just to make up for that time where they have the grazing muzzle on. Another really great option for forage intake management with these horses would be a slow feeder. Because horses evolved from animals that spent about 16 hours of the day grazing, they are designed to constantly be taking something in terms of roughage. So what we'd like to do is, while limiting the forage, extend the time it takes them to eat it, which can be done through a slow feeding small hold hay net. So just keep in mind, again, it is really important to manage these horses so that they can maintain a healthy weight and live a long, healthy life.